The Grumbles. We see them in floor 2 and they chase us down in door 150. However, there's something I noticed about the Grumbles that nobody has pointed out yet. That is that these Grumbles have a dark history with previous humans that might even tell us how we got to doors in the first place. Let's start off with the Queen Grumble. Queen Grumble is the Grumble that chases us before we enter the nest, and after we escape the mines, she's bigger than the rest of the Grumbles and also has a scar on her forehead. Wait, a scar? That's a weird detail for the devs to add. Well, from this scar, we can tell that the Grumbles are being constantly attacked by some other entities. I believe that these entities are the Figure and Seek. The Figure I believe because he squashes the giggles and hates noise, hence why he might try to attack the Grumbles despite the size difference because he cannot see. For Seek, on the other hand, we have a lot more lore. We see Seek's corrupted giggles laid in clumps across the Grumble nests, and also we see Seek corrupt Queen Grumble at the end of floor 2. But why does Seek hate the Grumbles? I mean, he doesn't hate the other entities like the Gloom Bats, because if he did, we would see corrupted versions of them, which makes me believe that the Grumbles and Seek are in a constant war due to something that happened when they were first created. I believe that this something is the fact that the Grumbles weren't made by the architects, or the hinted at God that made the architects like the other entities, but instead were made by humans. This makes sense because of two things: what the Grumbles are and where Doors takes place. For what the Grumbles are, we see that they are organic beings like the Figure, but strangely enough, they can reproduce. Now, I point this out because no other entity in Doors can reproduce because they all have no parts to do so. All of them are either a singular being like the Figure and Seek or multiple versions of some kind of implied negative emotion or sin like the PNGs. Another strange thing about the Grumbles is that they don't need to eat like how the Figure does. We know that the Figure eats Gloom Bats or us to survive, but strangely the Grumbles don't eat anything and just throw us instead of eating us. But what's also strange about this is the Figure doesn't eat the giggles but just stomps on them and kills them to reduce noise. What's strange about this is that if the giggles are organic like the Gloom Bats, then why doesn't the Figure eat them? And another weird detail is that the Grumble nest has no giggle eggs anywhere, but just has Grumbles roaming around the halls with Seek clusters. All of this makes me believe that because the Grumbles aren't like the Figure, but also are nothing like Seek, they have to be a type of tumor. Now, at first, I thought that they were overgrown amoebas, but the problem with that is that the Grumbles have eyes and teeth, while also being able to make noise and feel vibrations. Because of this, I did some digging and found a type of tumor named a teratomas. Teratomas tumors, although a form of cancer, can grow teeth, eyes, nerves, skin, and even other forms of organs like a voice box, which all exactly describe what the Grumbles have. Think about it. The Grumbles don't have to eat like every other animal, but they can reproduce, implying that it is asexual reproduction, which would align with a tumor spreading. Beyond this, it would also explain why they are just big mouth balls with fingers. If they are a tumor, they wouldn't need organs to survive and can just live off of itself alone. This also explains why the Figure would not eat them. If the giggles are recently split Grumbles, then of course he wouldn't eat them because they would just be bones and skin with no nutritional value, unlike us or the Glow Bats. And this could also explain how Seek can corrupt them and why he does so. If the Grumbles are overgrown tumors, then of course Seek would hate them because they aren't supposed to be in the mines, unlike the Figure or the other entities which were specifically placed there. But all of this leads to the second question: how did the Grumbles get there in the first place? If the Grumbles are tumors and aren't supposed to be in Doors, then wouldn't that mean that Doors was compromised by something organic? To explain this, we have to know that Doors takes place in the devs' Catholic-inspired version of Purgatory, Limbo, or Hell itself, because of the many hints that we are given throughout the floors with the crucifix, 3 celestials, multiple floors as a reference to Dante's Inferno, El Goblino, and the statue's code that says Limbo. I'm going to stick with the idea that it is inspired from a mix of all of these, and it is the devs' version of Limbo. This also implies that Doors takes place in a different dimension that humans should not be able to access, similar to a concept like the backrooms. This would also be why Seek and other entities chase us, because they know we're not supposed to be there. You might be asking, how does this relate to the Grumbles? Well, what if I told you that the Grumbles imply that humans found a way to enter into Limbo without dying first? Now, this doesn't make much sense at first until we look at the rooms and the back doors. Now, what's interesting about the rooms and the back doors is that they are subsections of doors that lead into the hotel. Now, the rooms specifically make no sense because it is implied that they are in an entirely new dimension than Doors. But if we look closer at the rooms, we see some strange details. The first detail is that the rooms look unfinished. They are more blocky and are also much more crude, which implies that they were not made by a god or architect because they don't follow the design of the rest of Doors. The second detail is the entities are also different and are all labeled as A, and then a number, which also makes the rooms seem artificial. The third detail is the final room of rooms, which has a lot of floating glowing doors in a void. All of these details combined lead me to believe that the rooms were accidentally made by the humans as a result of them experimenting a way to cross over to other dimensions. This would explain the glowing doors at the end, which we know all lead to different dimensions because the one we walk through takes us back to the hotel. I believe that the humans made a portal similar to how in Kane Pixel's Backrooms found footage. A sink made a portal to the backrooms, but instead in the Doors universe, by making a dimensional portal to Limbo, they created a whole new version of Doors. This would first explain why after we enter the hotel from the rooms, we see a strange portal-like structure from behind us, implying that we didn't come back entirely naturally. This would secondly explain the reason why the rooms are a workplace area. It seems that Doors floors are following history backwards. First we have a hotel from World War II, then we have the mines and sewers from the Industrial Revolution, and then we have a castle from the Middle Ages or Renaissance. So this implies that because the humans made the portal, a whole new floor would have been created that wasn't supposed to exist. And because it would follow the trends of the other floors, the rooms were made into an unfinished workplace with unfinished entities and no bosses. From my guess, after the dimensional portal was made, the humans would explore the floors expecting to find something interesting to only be killed in the mines, leading their bodies to be turned into tumors, which would result in the Grumbles being made. And because the Grumbles are constantly dividing, it would explain how the entities haven't killed them yet. But there's one small detail I missed: the architects. Now, the problem with the architects is that if the humans did truly come from the portals and didn't enter Limbo through the intended way, then why do the architects not just stop them? I mean, we know they have the power to because of the architects' respective seals that they can create to block entities or us from going in certain doors. So why didn't Curious just seal off the dimensional doors? Well, I believe that the architects were made for the purpose of stopping the humans from entering Limbo. But because the god of doors isn't always present, it seems like the architects rebelled in their respective ways, hence why they are the way they are. This makes sense because as seen in the three lights painting, Curious is the biggest of the two and Guiding and Mischievous are the smaller ones. I believe that Curious was made to protect the rooms and other pocket dimensions from being accessed by the humans, hence why we don't see him in the regular floors and why he's bound to the rooms. This would also explain why he's the biggest in the picture because he would serve the most important role. This would also explain why all of the doors are bright yellow, implying that Curious is blocking them and is controlling whether we can go in or out of the rooms and floors of doors. After Curious, however, we have Guiding Light and Mischievous Light, who I think were there to serve as a cleanup to the actual floors. I believe this because of how they work as the opposite of each other. If we look at Guiding Light, we see how he is trying his best to guide us through the doors to help us escape. From my guess, Guiding Light was used to help guide the souls who would go to Limbo naturally, which would explain why he helps us and even tells us how to get past certain entities. For Mischievous, however, I think that her job was to kill the humans that weren't supposed to be in the floors. I believe that Mischievous would create entities like Seek to help this. This would also explain the modifiers where we see Mischievous's icon. In Modifiers runs, we have the option to take out Guiding Light's help. If we do this, we see in the painting that Guiding Light is no longer present, implying that the modifiers are a way to see what the humans who entered the doors without permission would have went through. Through this, we see Mischievous's true power being used for the purpose of killing humans, showing her true purpose. However, after all of the humans were killed, it seems like the god of doors chose to not remove the architects from Limbo, which would cause all of them to continue to serve their roles with almost no purpose. For Curious Light, after not seeing any humans for a while, he became curious and tried to find out more about the doors and how everything works, as seen with his voice lines about knowing about the hotel's age and his ability to create starlight and rifts to aid us indoors. For Guiding Light, he continues to guide us because that's the only thing he can do. But now he is needed more than ever because of Mischievous Light. For Mischievous Light, it seems like she wanted to cause mischief indoors, hence why she still tries to kill us and also lets the entities roam free. This would explain entities like Seek, Figure, and any other boss entities because it seems like she made them to kill the humans. And because all of the humans are dead, she has no other purpose left except for now to kill all of the souls that go through the doors normally with her creations. Although she doesn't control them anymore, she can still empower them through the modifiers that she offers us to turn on for a reward, causing even more mischief. Besides that, Mischievous also explains how the Grumbles were created. It seems like after all of the humans were dead, their bodies seemed to rapidly produce cancerous tumors. Mischievous Light could have seen this and facilitated the growth of these tumors, causing the Grumbles to be created and for them to be another threat for us to have to deal with. But what do you guys think? Do you think I'm wrong? Or do you think there's more to this theory that I didn't talk about? Let me know below and like and subscribe.